Welcome to Reflections IAS Academy. Now, today we'll be starting a series kind of thing. What is that series actually? Now, all of you know that, especially the UPSC aspirants, face challenges while seeing new economic terms in newspapers. And also, this is for the general awareness of the public also as to how, our economy is running and what are the new terminology that we should be learning so that we will have a keen idea on it. Now, one such term in Indian economy, which Indian economy or in the global economy also is that we are seeing a new pattern called as shrinkflation and greedflation. Now, you may be wondering what is this shrinkflation and what is this greedflation? Okay, we know inflation very well. Inflation is the general increase in the price rise of a commodity. We all know that. We know deflation. We would have heard about stagflation, but this is something new which is called as shrinkflation and greedflation. Now, to explain you what is shrinkflation in a very economical terms, okay, it is all about being economical. By whom? Not by the consumer. It is showing economic. It is what actually? It is meant to show the economical standards by the seller. Now, how would be he economical? Very simple. Now, we all know that the basic problem that is plaguing the Indian economy or the global economy for that matter is what? Inflation. So, obviously, when there is inflation, there will be spurt in the prices. There will be increase in the prices. Yes or no? So, shrinkflation is all about, it is like covering something. What is it covering? Covering the price rise. How do you cover the price rise? It is simply by reducing the quantity of the product. What do we do, sir? We reduce the quantity of a product. As simple as that. For example, let us say there is a company called as PepsiCo, which is a beverage industry. Now, earlier, let's say that we used to get a 300 ml bottle of Thumbs Up at rupees 20. Let us say 300 ml of Thumbs Up or Pepsi or Coca-Cola, whatever it is, 300 ml at rupees 20. Now, when there is an inflation, simply what happens is that the price would be same, but the 300 ml would be reduced to 200 ml. Now, that is what exactly is shrinkflation. This is what we call as, what sir? Shrinkflation. Or else, we'll take one more example for that matter. Let us say that there is a Snicker chocolate. Now, Snicker chocolate will be, the bar would be of certain size. Now, because of the inflation and the other factors, for example, the cocoa production and everything, there may be a chance that instead of increasing the price, they would decrease the size of the bar of the chocolate. That is another thing. And for example, we can take one more example, Haldiram's. You all know it's a famous food processing industry company which is called as Haldiram's. Now, what Haldiram's will be doing, suppose he wants to offer you a moong dal. Let's say a 500 grams packet of moong dal is costing at how much? At 100 rupees. Now, because of inflation, his production cost would increase. So, in order to cover those costs, he would be keeping the same price of moong dal for 500 grams at 100 rupees only, but he would be reducing the quantity again by 500 grams to, let us say, 350 grams. So, this exactly is what is called as shrinkflation. Now, shrinkflation is where the price per unit increases. What happens here, sir? In shrinkflation, price per unit increases. As you can see in the slide, shrinkflation is a term used to describe the practice where companies reduce the size or quantity of a product while maintaining the same price. This tactic allows businessmen to manage rising production costs or inflation without overtly increasing prices, which might be more noticeable to consumers. Now, generally, the consumer mindset is such that consumer generally looks at price rather than the quantity. Now, let's say someone is serving you a chapati or a meal's thali. Okay. Now, first of all, what question you would be asking? You would be asking what is the price of the thali. Once you ask the price of the thali, then you will be asking the person what is the menu of the thali. The first attention goes to what? The price only. So, this is where the consumer mindset is taken into picture. Rather than burdening the consumer and making him think that he is also undergoing the financial burden because of inflation, the quantity of the product is reduced so that the end consumer is happy in a way. Now, what happens actually? You can see here, Shrinkflation, this is the way the size keeps reducing. And this is another one. You see here, the size is reduced again here. The oil bottle, if you see, this wonderfully depicts what is shrinkflation. If you want to represent it pictorially, okay, right? So now, if you see key points here, again definition already we have discussed. Now, why this shrinkflation is caused actually? The basic reason why shrinkflation is caused is because of inflation only. And then you have cost management. So instead of increasing the prices because of cost management, rather you will decrease the size. And consumer perception, just now I have told you, consumer perception is more on price rather than quantity. Now, impact on consumers. What consumer doesn't understand is that his price may be the same, but the value of the product decreases, which is called as perceived value. And then you have purchasing decisions. Now, once consumers, another best example I would like to give is the Lay's chips packet. The price remains 5 rupees or 10 rupees or 20 rupees. You have different sizes of Lay's packets. But when you open the chips packet, the number of chips keep reducing, yes or no? It's a common practice done, which is called as shrinkflation. Now, purchasing decisions. Once you understand what you call this particular technique by the food product companies or any other company for that matter, you will either go for some other brand or you will try to seek an alternative. That's one thing. Okay, economic indicators. So economic indicators, what will happen is, it will not indicate on the consumer price index. It will not directly alter the consumer price index, but it will reflect the rising costs. Once the quantity of the product is reduced, it indicates the rising cost. Okay, so examples I've told you, a chocolate bar, I have already given this example. Instead of 100 grams, it will be weighing 90 grams now, but the cost would be the same. Household items, a roll of toilet paper for that matter, you may get less rolls from here on. So, how do you see regulatory and ethical considerations here? Maybe the best thing is transparency. How do you show transparency? Where companies clearly mention the product size, okay? And also labeling requirements, okay? Labeling also should be there such that it clearly indicates the size or the quantity of the product. So, this is shrinkflation, okay? And this is just like UPSC sample question. They may be asking you what is shrinkflation. So if you see this question, the right option is C. The answer is written over here. The practice of reducing the size or quantity of a product while maintaining the same price, okay? Now comes the next topic here, greedflation. Now this is a worrisome trend actually. This is something which we need to worry, greedflation. Now shrinkflation, to some extent, if it is being smart, this is being overly smart, and also this is a kind of a fraud also, this greedflation. Now all of you know, after COVID-19, when during the COVID-19 time, there was a stringent lockdown in place, so economic activity did not take place. So now what this greedflation does is that they will seek the advantage of inflation. They will say that because there is an inflationary trend in the market, they will increase the price more than what is required. For example, let us say, we will take a very simple example. Let's say milk. We'll take this example. Now you regularly keep seeing in the newspapers, or even there will be a news article that the prices of milk per liter have increased due to transportation costs. Now what these corporates or companies are doing is that, suppose if per cost increases, let us say rupees 5, they will be increasing the price by rupees 10. Now they're passing more burden on the consumer. That means this is taken as an advantage by the company or the corporate, just showing that there is an inflationary trend in the market. So people will also not question whether this is the real hike or not. There is some more inflation added here, and this is what is called as greedflation. Now this is called greedflation because this comes from the greed of the corporate or the company. A corporate company's greed comes into the picture, and there would be more increase in the price than what it should be. If you can see the definition also, companies increase prices more than necessary, exploiting exploiting inflationary conditions to boost profits. What is the main motto of this greedflation? It is to boost profits, sir. Very simple. Okay. So you can see this trend already also. Okay. Best way to explain you an example. Let us say, I'll explain you what is the difference between shrinkflation and greedflation. Let's take an example of the street food itself. Now earlier, for rupees 30, you used to get how many idlis? 4 idlis in the plate. Now when the inflation increases, what the food seller would do over there? He would say rupees 30 only, but he will reduce the number of idlis from 4 to 3. This is called shrinkflation. Now I'll explain you what is greedflation. Let us say because of the cost of production increasing, the cost of idli would be around 35 rupees from 30 rupees. It would increase from 30 rupees to 35 rupees. But the shopkeeper or the person who is making idlis over there will take an advantage and say, because there is an inflationary trend, instead of increasing 5 rupees, he will increase it to what? 10 rupees. And he'll keep the price as rupees 40. So he is generating what? Extra 5 rupees profit over there. Now this is what is called as greedflation. This is to boost the profits of a company. Okay. Now again you can see here, this is pictorially depicting what is this greedflation over there. Okay. Okay. And this is the corporate or the company who is having fun because of greedflation. And there's a report given by S&P 500 companies also that companies like PepsiCo have resorted to greedflation. Okay. Now again, concept of greedflation, as you say here, this is to expand profit margins rather than genuine cost increase. Okay. Context. It is generally occurs during the period of what? Economic inflation. And also consumer mindset is such that people also would not question the price rise because they know that the costs are expected to rise. The price is expected to rise because we are in the midst of an inflationary cycle. Okay. Now what do you do? What is the causes of greedflation? Market power. Suppose if there is a less competition in that particular field or there is a monopoly in that particular field, then they can increase the prices by using greedflation concept. And again, profit maximization, as I told you, is their motive. And consumer expectation, that's what I told you. During high inflation, consumers anticipate price hikes which can reduce resistance to unjustified increases. Now, what is the impact on economy? The impact on economy is that the inflation would be more than what it should be. Okay, this will also lead to income inequalities. There will be more inequality because this greedflation will result in troubling which income groups are? Middle income group and the low income groups. This is income inequality. And because of that, there will be reduced purchasing power also. Because of this greedflation, there is a reduced purchasing power also. We can relate this with FMCG goods, or fast movable consumer goods. Most of the FMCGs after COVID-19 have seen a greedflation concept. Okay. Criticism. Corporate responsibility. It is a corporate responsibility to see that just not profit margins is important, consumer welfare is also taken into picture. And then public perception. Now, when public becomes aware of this, the companies may risk damaging their reputation also. Okay. And regulatory, of course, is that government can interfere and say they can have a strict price control measures and monitoring and reporting, increase scrutiny, and also transparency in pricing method may also be adopted here. And if you see examples of greedflation, consumer goods, a company may raise the price of its product significantly more than its increase in production cost, citing general inflation as the reason. Energy prices, utility companies like energy sector during energy crisis may say because of increased fuel costs, they would be increasing more prices per unit so that they can record more profits over there. So this greedflation is all about maximizing your profits, okay, while they do not keep in mind that there should be some consumer welfare policies from their side also. This is a dangerous trend for the economy in the longer run because this will increase the income inequality. Also, this will put more pressure on the middle class and the lower middle class, and also the lower income group people. So this is something that government has to keep in mind, because this will inflate the inflation. If I want to define greedflation in one term, I will say inflating the inflation itself. Suppose if the inflation is 5%, because of the greedflation, inflation would be inflated by more 2%, which is to 7%. So this is the concept of greedflation, sir. This is the concept. Which of the following describes greedflation? If you see, excessive price increase by companies during inflationary periods to boost their profits. So today you have learned what is a very famous economic term seen these days in newspapers and economic magazines. What is that? We have seen greedflation and we have seen shrinkflation. We would come across many terms like this in the upcoming classes also. Thank you for your support. Thank you.